Hey everybody, welcome to another old school 3D software tutorials on old SGI machines. I figured I haven't got my new card yet. That should be here soon. But in the meantime, I figured I could do another quick Softimage tutorial where we go over some things we didn't cover in the first one. Mainly like object and component selections, how to do the quick keys for that, how to set up your keyboard so that you can navigate the windows a little bit easier than the default. And I'll show you where those, all the quick key items are. And just like last time, when I launch Softimage, I get this, the mouse slows down. So the Softimage takes over the mouse speed, and then I have to restart it. So Alt F9 out, and then my mouse is very sensitive. I like to barely move it and have it jump across the screen. All right. Okay, let's see. Here we are. The basic Softimage interface. Like last time, I'm holding W. I can move this guy here to create that little square and move this guy around. And like last time, you can see the little informations of what the left middle mouse and right button do when you hold a key. So I'm holding W, you can see those guys. Alright, what didn't we cover in the last tutorial? We had covered some of the modeling functions. I covered how to maneuver around the windows, the 3D views. There's the Z key with the left mouse click. There's the O key for the orbit and the P key for the pan. It's like pushing in and out. This is the right click for the fast speed. And then we went to the different panels. There's the model mode, and over here there is the matter mode. All these things have in the software, they have these quick keys. So there's model, motion, actor, matter, and tools, and these can be done on the F keys. So you have F1 for model, F2 for motion. It's like your keyframing and the animation stuff. This is your rigging, is your actor, that's F3, and F4 is the matter, and then I think F5 goes to the tools, which mainly are like 2D things we won't ever really probably cover. So you know F1, F2, F3, F4, and usually I'll be doing F1, F4, F1, F4, just to go back and forth. Because when you're in model, you can't use some of the quick keys for rendering that you can when you're in matter on the F4, so I figured I'd cover those. So F1, 2, 3, and 4 are swapping the different panels really quick instead of having to go up here and click, so you can do these quick keys. We also covered how to save your camera position, which is up here in these slots. So you can middle mouse and save one, right click will delete it from the slot, and then left click will use it. So if we do like another position here, and middle mouse that. Now I've got two positions. I can left click back and forth. This is probably a faster way to get your camera back, just in case you use the Z key with the right or middle mouse click and you get this zoom function mess up. You can see if you click back here, you're back to your zoom level that you were, which is a lot faster than going into the camera and resetting it just to get that zoom level fixed. Alright, so let's cover a couple things about maneuvering. So in the last tutorial I had covered that the Z key with left does this, the O key with left does this, and the P key with all the different clicks does this. So I didn't like that. In all the modern 3D apps, you use the Alt key with the middle mouse and left click, left middle and mouse clicks. In Softimage, your key adjustments are over here in the info tab, info button. So you click this, there's two spots here. One is the super keys and the other one is the user Swift keys. So if we go into super keys, you'll see that you have the list of these main item options here. And we're going to use a lot of these in this tutorial to show you what's going on. So here's the zoom key. I leave that one default. The D key we're going to use for some modeling. And then the other ones down here are the orbit mode and the dolly mode. That's the P. I call it panning, like pushing in and out. I changed these so they're more associated with the Z key, so I don't have to reach across the board. So the first thing I do is I go down here and I go for the orbit mode. I double click that guy, it brings up this window here, and you see it's got the O selected. I deselect that, go select Z, and then I'll use like the left control, and that allows me to be like moving with the Z, and then when I add control I can orbit. And then I go over here to the dolly mode, I add the shift to that. So we get rid of the P, go to the Z, the control and left shift, hit OK, and now exit. So we got these all set up. And so now, instead of having to reach across the board, I can use the Z key for this, the control Z for the orbit, and the control shift Z to create the pan. Push in, and this makes it so navigating around is way less of a fuss to be able to get around the application without having to dinking around across the keyboard. So that's to start. Okay, so let's cover some modeling functions, and in order to cover some modeling functions that we didn't last time, we will also cover these guys down here, which is the object mode, tag mode, which is like your points, and center, which is the pivot point, text, I think is just text only, and then this polygon mode. And these ones up here fill up depending on what your selection are. They give you like a localized or a global orientation. So we'll go back to object mode and we'll create an object here, and we'll go get primitive. We'll go down here to grid, and we'll start with the polygon. We'll just leave a default 10. Drops that guy in there. See, I hit the F key to fit. So when I float over this guy, hit F key, F key, F key, hit F. You know, it brings everything like maximum, pretty average screen space for each one, so you can see your model from all the different points of view. Okay, so let's talk about another thing first before we get into these object selection and the component selection and modeling functions. Let's go into, I'm going to see, I can go to translate. So XCV, which we covered in the last one, X for scale, C for rotate, V for translate. And they have the little items down here and what they stand for: free drag, vertical drag, horizontal drag, because we're in the drag mode at the object level. That's why you got these drags in here. One thing I want to do, let me move this guy up on, press the M, move him off the plane there. I want to show you a few more display modes. We had the shade mode and the wireframe mode, and we were playing with this last time. You know, these two modes mainly. One thing I love to do, and I do it with all the apps, is I like to view a shaded mode or a hidden wireframe mode, which is a way of showing you the wireframe on an object but not seeing through the object. So you can see what the wireframe is, but it still has a solid surface, and it's almost like a drafting, it's almost like viewing drafting paper with like a schematic on it, so that you can see which sides are solid and which sides are transparent. So I'm going to create another item here to display this. We'll do a primitive cube, drop one in here, and it's too big. Let's go down, or maybe what I'll do is I'll space. Remember, space is the selection, so I still in single selection. I'm going to space select this guy, and I'm going to scale this up on the X and the Y. Let's see, I'll do these like 5. I'll do the numeric over here to do it precisely. So we'll do 5, enter this one 5 too, so it's exact. Okay. All right, now let's see, we're going to have to zoom out here. So using my Z key, I have to Control Shift Z, right click, so we'll zoom out. And then I'll spacebar select the, let's see, I'll hit the F key here, F key here, F key here. So spacebar select the cube. You can see I can't see what's going on here very easy. And the V key for translate, middle mouse click will drag this guy up on the plane. Matter of fact, because I know it's 10, I can type 5.0 here and know it's right on the plane because it's a 10 scale cube. Okay, so you can see this view here. You can kind of see what's going on. If we put a light in there, you'd be a little better off seeing the shapes, but what we will do is I'm going to change this display mode. We'll go into setup, and under here there's little show icons. I'm not quite sure why they called it that, but you click that guy. You have a few modes here. One is hidden line. This is the drafting mode I like, and you can choose background color, perspective color, or the diffuse color. We use the diffuse color later when we add diffuse colors, but we'll just leave it a background now. And we'll just hit this and hit OK, and you can see now what we have is this view where you see the item, but it draws, like I'll deselect this, your space click. It draws it so that it has the wireframe wrapped around it, but it still has also the solid sides. It's not shaded per se, but it's got a flat shade to it, and this allows you to see it better when you're modeling. I'm gonna click this guy and move him right above the grid a little bit here. Use V with middle mouse up down here, so he's above the plane. There we go. So now you can see this is like a draft mode. This is really neat. Way of seeing what's going on. It's very clean. It refreshes fast. This is a good way to. This is the way I like to edit this thing when I'm in modeling mode. Okay, so we'll move this guy. Translate in object drag mode as the default, so I can just free drag this up here. I'll move that out of the way. I'll click that. And the other one is we'll go back in here with the setup, and there's another one. If you unclick a hidden line, you use unselected highlights. You get the wireframe, but you wrap it around the shaded mode. So if you were in just the regular shaded mode, let's turn this off here real quick. You can see that's the shaded mode, and if you want to put the wireframe on it, like hidden line, but have the shaded mode, this unselected highlights is the way to go about that. So we'll hit OK, and you can see now you have this view that has the shading, but it also has the wireframe on it, and it's pretty cool. This is why I switched to the flat hidden line way, because you'll get this stuff, and sometimes you won't want to do that when you're modeling, but we're good here. So I'll leave that like that. Okay, so now that we've got these different shaded view modes understood, let's start dinking with the way to select components. And in Softimage, you basically have polygon, spline patches, and NURBs. And with spline patches and NURBs, you're primarily dealing with points that you're going to tag. And in polygon modeling, you get to you can select the faces as well as the verts, the points. And the keys for that are, if we're in the object mode, the drag mode, you can use these are sticky keys, so you have to hold them down while you use them. If you hold down the G key, you'll see down here at the bottom it has this select polygon, unselect polygon, and toggle polygon for left, middle, and right. And what we'll do is we'll spacebar, select, click this guy so we have it selected, and then I'm going to hold the G key, and this is basically the raycast polygon. And see, it says raycast polygon. So if I left click across this, it'll select a polygon. And what you can do is you can actually hold that guy down and just left click drag, and you're basically painting your selection. You can go through and do this and select things. You can be a little bit sloppy. You don't have to be perfect, because when you're finished, you can go through with the middle mouse and drag through something and remove polygons as you need to. And this is a fast way of getting a selection that you find that you need. And you can also toggle, instead of the left being only click on and the middle being only click off, you can just use the right click to basically, you can go over it with right click, go over it with right click again, and it basically toggles what you are selecting. And so this allows you to grab your polygons. Let's get rid of some of these here, and I'll grab just a few. So now we have these polygons selected. We go, well, let's move them up. Let's move just those polygons up. And I have the, XCV, so I got V, and then I try to like middle mouse drag up, and I don't. It moves the whole object. Another thing I didn't show you last time, which I should have shown you, is the undo. Is like most apps have Control Z. In Softimage, you hold the U key down for undo. You also see it under here, under history. You can see this undo. It says U. But you also have to click. So you hold the U down, and you can see here it's got this undo, redo. Like left is undo, redo is right. So if you're holding U, and you just left click, it'll undo, and you can right click, right click. So you just, as long as you're holding the U and you left click, right click, you can undo, redo. And you have to set in history the length of those. So there's 5. I'll just do 10. Just leave it at that. Okay. So why didn't we go up? We were in translate and we got those selected, and then I move and it moves the whole item up. Now hit U, left click to undo. What's going on with that? That's because we're in this mode, this object mode. Object mode selects the whole item, and we're in the drag mode of that. There's local, global, I forget what these are, reflection, I forget what these are, but I have to get in the manual again. But there is, what we need to do if we want to only move the polygon selection, we have to go over here to the end, which is the polygon, and we can do local or global. We'll do local since this is all facing up, it'll correspond with this. So now I've got local polygon selected, and then I can middle mouse click here and you'll see I'm moving the polygons up and down. And then we can do this, and we can do that, you know. So we've got that. I'm gonna hold U down to undo, click, click, click. So that's how you can move that. So we'll go G, hold the G down to select some polygons, and then let go of G. We're still in polygon local mode. So I'm gonna hit, I got the XYV, XCV, V is our move. I'm gonna click down here and you can see moving the geometry. So we can modify our topology this way with polygons. What's great is, there's also a way to do, since this is local, instead of like, let's say you're in drag or global mode here, I'll show you the difference between the different modes. So I'm gonna hold the G down and middle mouse click, and we'll grab a few of these guys here. Since we're in polygon global, if I go the C key and I hit the Y rotate, which is the middle mouse button, you'll see I'm moving them basically because they're all like a group. And that's one of the desired methods, but what you can do here is you can also go local. And if you're doing polygon local, it basically faces the normal as the up on Y. So if I had this polygon selected on here and I used the Y translate, it would translate up on its normal, which would be local for the polygon. When you're moving, that makes a difference depending on which angle. Like if you just want to move all the normals out in a certain direction, which I'll show you on a sphere shortly. But what's great is that because it's localized, you can do really neat maneuvers. And we'll do it with rotate here. I'll show you with the rotate, middle mouse click on the Y, and each individual one is rotating. And now this is pretty neat when you're trying to do certain designs on like a weapon or slats, like a vent or something. You can really do some neat maneuvers really quickly without having to go in and move each individual one. So just try rotate on, you know, this is pretty neat. If you look at this, it's actually like rotating them off the grid there. So some neat options, the way that is, oops, gotta undo all that. It gives you this neat variation on trying to modify, you know, the geometry in a very optimized way, so you don't have to do a lot of maneuvers. Okay, so that's like, you know, manipulating a polygon versus object. We can also do this with the tag, which is the, oh, I should show you the other mode. So I showed you the G with the raycast. You know, holding G down, raycast drag, middle mouse drag. The other one is the rectangle, so which is different than the raycast. So if you hold the Y key, you can drag, select, and pull out a square, and anything inside that will get dragged. Middle mouse will deselect. And so you can go through, let's see if we do a top view here, and we can get this row, say grab a couple of rows, and then I don't want the next one, so middle mouse drag over that row. And that's a quick way of also selecting and maneuvering. That's the Y key. So the G is the raycast, Y is the drag rectangle. And this allows you to select pretty neat, pretty versatile ways of just getting your selection as quickly as you want without a lot of hassle. All right, so I'm going to use the Y key and right click, and I'm just going to, oh, that's toggle. You can also invert your selection like that. Right Y key with the middle mouse click and just get rid of the selection here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a different modeling function. Instead of just moving the faces, we'll do a duplicate. And duplicate is a common way, in new tools we have this where you select a face and you choose an extrude, or you select an edge and you choose an extrude. But the old way was basically you duplicate a face, and Softimage at least created a connection to that from the original face. That was an intended modeling workflow. So we'll use the G key and we'll do like a row here, a row here, and a row here. And we will use the D, if you hold the D key down, and we will click. Let's see if I got it. These are tricky. You might have the same problem. Let's see if I got it here. Gotta go to Polygon mode. See if I moved it up now. Okay, I didn't get it. So undo. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries. Hold the D key, right click, or local. Let's see if I got it. No, still didn't do it. U. Hold D. There we go. So I D middle moused it, and then when I try to move up now, you'll see I've got an extrusion happening, and it connects the faces to it. So this is a great way to modify your geometry. Let's move this down here. Let's grab this guy. I'll spacebar select this guy. We're going to go to Effect. I'm going to subdivide this character 2 by 2 by 2 so it looks like a Rubik's Cube. V. Now I'm on the Polygon selection. I'm going to switch to Object, Drag, so I can drag this guy back out here. And we will F to fit in there, rotate around it, and we'll use the G key to select this top guy, hold the D key. I need to go to Polygon, local. Oh, you can also switch between these, sorry. So object tag, center, text, and pole. This is F8. F9 is tag for the points, which I'll show you in a moment. The center, which I'll show you how that center is how the object, it's the center pivot of the object, and I'll show you how to modify it in a moment. It's text, and then there's F12 is the polygon mode. So go polygon local. Let's see if I got here. Alright, you click, hold D, and middle mouse, and now I've got an extra one there, so when I go up on the polygon, it should come out. Hold D, click, or do I have to click off of it? There we go. D, click off, and then translate up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the G key, middle mouse that, and we'll swing around here. We'll grab all these guys. I'll hold the Y key, left mouse drag, and we'll get all these top things. So now we've got the whole top surface there. And we don't want the top though. I want to just extrude around the side, so I'll use the G raycast and middle mouse the top off. So you can see, whoop, you left click. So you can see I'm just grabbing that edge there. And we'll hold the D. There we go, click right on that. And now if I use, because I'm in local, if I use translate on Y, oops, no, it's not working. Let's see if we do scale. And we'll scale it like this, yeah. So I'm going to draw this guy out like that. Okay. Now let's look at how these things will shape when they go into smooth mode here. So I'm going to hit the Y, hold the Y key down, middle mouse drag to deselect. Now I'm going to move us back to F8, which is object mode. Hit V for the move. Hit F to frame. Oh, space select this guy, F. Oh, hold the Y. Mouse drag. Okay, so we've got these guys here. Let's get this guy out of the way. Oh, I duplicated the whole. That's what happened. I duplicated it a few times. Let's see, we'll go to drag mode here. See how many I made. Clicked off the situation spacebar grab. No, just 2. Alright, so let's see what this looks like here. Because I only have one row here, that's going to smooth out really quite a bit. If I left another row, I'll make another thing here. So I'm going to D right click and just create a whole new plane so I can show you a different version of this here. Oop. Right. Yeah. Alright, so we got 2 of these now. And I will use this one, F, to go in here and I'll extend this out so it has one little edge, one little row of verts here, so you can see how the hard edge versus the soft edge works as you add edge loops. Hold G, grab this row, G, grab this row, G, grab this row, and then we'll do the duplicate again. Let me hit F over here so I'm in this view. D, right click. It's not giving that. This is just really, oh, I know what's the matter. What's the matter is I'm in object mode again, so let's go to F12 for polygon, local, hold D. Let's see if I can get this to, no, D, there we go, right click on that, holding D down. Now I've got an extra little edge loop there, you can see that little edge, and that's going to tighten that up. So the closer the spans are when you do a smooth, the harder the edge, because it basically rounds out between the averages, and when they're tight, they turn into tight turns. Alright, hold Y, middle mouse, bam. Alright, hit F thing, hit A to size the whole thing. Alright, so let's spacebar select this guy. Hit F8 so I'm in object mode. And we'll do a, let's see here, effect to rounding, enter, effect, rounding, enter. You can see that's rounded out, effect, rounding, enter. See what that looks like here. Hit F, get in there. Let's turn off the line. See what we got here. So that's pretty round. Yeah, I didn't put an extra line of stuff there, so that's pretty smooth in there. And then I got this guy, hit F, and we will F over there too, and let's do the same thing. We'll effect, click, rounding, enter. Oh, that's weird. Yeah. And now that end, that little bottom has got a crisper edge because I added another edge loop in here. Taking a moment. Memory. Should be doing this on the Octane, doing it on the O2 for the screen. All right. Let's make this. All right, so we got that. Pretty snazzy. So you can see this has got a little bit of a tighter edge right at the bottom here because of the extra what we didn't call it at the time, but in the future from this later we call them edge loops. That's what they're called today. Let's see here, zoom out. You can see this one's really rounded out and that one's really sharp because of adding that extra loop. Okay, let's go over here. I'm going to go back to the highlight mode so I can see what I'm doing. I still got a polygon selected there. Let's F over this guy. F, get him in there. Now I'm going to show you the, just like G and Y for the polygons, the T is basically the tag, and it's tagging points. And we would want to also go down here to the tag mode, which is F9. And I'll hold the T, and it'll drag out something, and you'll see that I can grab these points. I'm going to move them towards the edges. So I'm going to use scale on, what is it, X here. So I'll scale that out like that. I'll hold T, middle mouse, drag, left mouse. I'm holding T the whole time, left mouse, drag. Let's do the scale on Z, which is the right click. So we're kind of creating a thing here, and then we have to do it to this middle row here. So I'll hold T, middle mouse drag, left mouse drag, and then we will scale on the Y, which is the M in this view. And I've got this shape where I've brought all the spans to the edges so that when I smooth this out, it's still smooth here, but it keeps the smoothness this distance. So there's that. Let's see. Y. I can show you a couple other display things too. Let's see, I'm going to hold the T key, middle mouse, drag all that. There's a way you can show the verts by hitting Shift P. Yeah. Shift P, you can click it on and off, and it'll show you the verts in blue. This is especially helpful when you have to patch a polygon, which we'll do shortly. But let's do that. Let's pull this guy into view here, and we'll do a... I have to find, there should be, I don't know why, but... Oh, whoops, I gotta go back to object mode to do that. That's why it wasn't working. Object mode, effect, rounding, here. See, it's keeping it closer to the edge now. Do that again, effect, left click, enter, effect, left click, enter. So we get this spacebar click, get this really nice rounded looking cube here, which you guys already probably know how to do from the last tutorial if you're starting on the last tutorial. Otherwise you probably knew this all along because you've been doing Softimage. Alright, so let's hit A to auto size the scene, spacebar, left click that guy, hit F, zoom in, and we got an interesting shape there. I suppose I could put a little hole in there if we wanted to. Yeah, I'll hold G, make this like a bottle or something. Hold D, we gotta go down to F12 for polygon selection. Hold D. Is it working? Let's see. Yeah, alright, pulled that down. What I want to do though, hold U and left click because I want to scale it. So we scale it down, and I'll hold D again. And V. Yeah, go down in the bottle there. Alright, hold G, select, okay, so we've got a neat little shape. Let's go to effect. MetaMesh, okay, there's this plugin that's not here, but in the Windows version of Softimage 3D, there's a thing called MetaMesh, which is basically doing what I'm doing with the rounding, only I think it keeps it live, so you don't have to like commit to the rounding completely. Oops, I'm not in the polygon mode, am I? Okay, object, go to object mode. Effect, rounding, enter. Oops. Cancel, forgot what the number is. Change this number for better effects. Oy, oy. Alright, got a neat little bottle shaped thing here. Let's go to setup. I'll get rid of the wireframe on top of that. And hit A to auto size our scene. So there you go, some basic vert and polygon selection and modeling functions in Softimage. Oh wait, I have to still, you know what? I still should show you patching across polygons here. So let me grab this. Oh, let's grab another cube here. One more thing. We'll call this quick tutorial over here. Let's see. Let's get a cube. On object, okay, hold D, duplicate, and then right? I guess it didn't. D, right click to duplicate. I want to drag it this way. Here we go. Alright, what we want to do is actually drag it out. Hit F here, hit F there. Drag it out this way. There we go. Okay, so F. Zoom in on that guy. Alright, I should have. Alright, I'll just subdivide them both here so I can show you patching a polygon across two items. So if you're building an item and you want to, okay, let's see here. So we're gonna melt these two. Sorry, I had a phone call right when I was trying to edit that together. So we've got these two. I'm gonna take this. Let's see, we're gonna go to Effect, Subdivision. Make it like so. Oops. Okay. The same thing with this guy. What's this guy? This guy. Effect, Subdivision. Okay. And what we want to do is we will combine these two. So I need a multi-select. Oh. I need to get around this here. I guess I could show you guys like a hide mode here. Let's look at the whole scene. Hit A. I'll show you the whole scene here. What we're going to do is we're just going to hide everything while I work on these things. So we're going to go down here to this right text underneath the lower right window. We're going to click on there. This thing called Spreadsheet. And click that. It's going to bring up this little window here, and it's got this list. And you can actually spacebar select here too. Different items. You can use a spreadsheet to find your items. It's kind of like Maya's outliner. Anyway, so we got cube 3 is this one. What's this one here? Oh, we got a whole bunch of stuff here. Cube 4. Let's see if where are all these? I want to, oops, I selected instead of deselected. What I want to do is make these, this little row of checkboxes here is for the visibility. And as soon as it's done doing what it's doing, I'm going to see, spacebar that guy off, spacebar this guy off. So that is that's the grid. So the grid, I'm going to right click on this grid, right click on this grid. Oh, I've got too many selected here. Single select, it's having a hard time. Right click on that guy. Oh, it's doing a whole group here, okay. So, yeah, left click on that guy, cancel. And we'll right click on this guy and this guy. It's doing this multi-select thing for some reason. But you can see how it works. It's kind of, I want that one, don't want that one. Okay, so those two are selected and the rest are not. So they're invisible for now. And that allows me to go in here with multi-select and just get those guys. F key. Alright, so for the meantime, we just got these two. So what I want to do is I have this object, they're separate objects, but I want to connect these together into one object. And so what you have is there's this, is it under effect? I think it's under effect. There is GC merge. And we'll hit OK, go through the options, and it makes a new item, which I think the spreadsheet need to be re-updated here. So we'll go back to the right view real quick. And you can see it's like items inside of items here. So if we go, right, if we middle mouse drag, let's see what we got. Do we got both of them? Or Spacebar. Okay, so these are the originals. And let me click off these guys here. This is the new item that you see when I click on it. It's basically now one item. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. And what do we got? I cannot, what is that name of that thing? Object 1, I don't see it in our spreadsheet here. Let's go to our schematic. See what we got. This is another way of viewing here. Use the Z key. So object here. Here's the camera and a thing. I don't have a light in here yet. It's another way of checking. This is how you would check your rig hierarchy too. Once you get to that level of knowledge. Let's see here. So I'll hit F to see these four. Oops. Grab that. See if we go back here to the spreadsheet. I don't see my item. It's very strange. It should be in here. Anyway, well, we'll just make these guys. Let's see. You're invisible. You're invisible. Okay. Now we've got that. We'll open this up here, and I'll show you how to draw a polygon out. So let's make these faces here. If I draw, I'll hold the G key, grab that guy, or oops, undo, and we'll G key, grab this guy, and I'll use, what are we on, object drag, so we'll go polygon, local, use the D key to dupe the face. If we, still didn't do it. This sometimes this just doesn't stick. You have to fiddle with it. Sometimes I have to be on the actual polygon. Sometimes I have to be off. So let's see, did that work? Yeah, here we go. So we've got that, and I'll use the Y middle mouse drag to. Oh wait, we don't want to deselect that actually. We'll leave those selected. And what we're going to do is we'll delete them. Because we're in Polygon local, we'll use the backspace. You hold the backspace down and you can see it says delete node, branch, or tree. We'll delete the node by clicking. And it's still not, why is it not giving me this? Sometimes this just doesn't, it gets stuck in a mode and it will not release it for whatever reason. So alright, I'm going to reselect everything here and get off that. G, backspace, click, there we go. Should have been able to do them both like that, but okay, G, click, hold down backspace, and it's still not letting me do that for some reason. Delete selection, I don't know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's really finicky when you're trying to do those extrusion models or deletes with individual selections. It gets finicky. Might be better on the Octane than the O2. Okay, so now we've got these opened up ends and we're going to connect them, and we'll do that with the polygon draw. If we go down here to polygon in the modeling tool, polygon, just literally polygon. What we need though is, I'm going to do this Shift P so we can see all the points. I'm going to click. You have to pick 4 verts. You can pick up 3, but for these, you pick 4, and I think it's counterclockwise is the way it works. So let's see if I go this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then middle mouse. Okay, that worked, but normally what you see is when you're in wire mode, you actually see the selection. So if we do this here, we'll try it again because I'm still in that mode. So it's got, in the add polygon mode, you got left mouse is pick vertex, and M is accept current polygon, or N, the mode is the right click. So now if I click these, you'll see they're highlighting. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. Click, click, click. There's the triangle, and then you that for the thing, and you hit middle mouse to basically commit to it. It's a very slow process that was approved upon in future apps, but okay, that doesn't like that bad edge or orientation, so I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to go counterclockwise. And then we'll go here, underneath here. I think it's this way, yeah. It'll let you know if it doesn't like the direction. Okay, so I just filled that gap. Let's go up here to shade. And there it is. I've connected it all from 2 cubes into 1 item and then patched it with polygons. And then we can do what we want with that. So, effect, rounding, enter. Better. Let's see what we got here. Shift P to turn off the points. And we'll go to unselected highlights so we can see what it looks like. Okay. Better. And we'll go through and we'll turn on the, oh, cancel. Turn on our other items here on our schematic view. Get our scene back. Tutor, okay, right, go up here to the right. There's everything, we hit A to size out. Spacebar these guys. Multi-select, I'll deselect that. Deselect that. See if I can backspace, so if I got objects mode and I hit backspace and hit left click, there we go. Now it's letting me delete them. Zip around. Decent. Don't need both those. Single select. Get myself out of trouble here. We're on object mode. We'll go back to drag, and then I can just pull this guy over somewhere. All right. So another thing I didn't show you guys is when you're preview rendering, you don't have to have the whole screen go black. You can have it bring up in a window, which is just a quick little checkbox. Let's see here, we'll do this. Let's add a light so we can light the scene somehow. Define light. Spot is fine. Pretty standard setup. Ray trace shadows, Umbra down to 0. And we will, since we're in object drag, we should be able to just pull this up. Let's hit Autosize. Autosize there. Autosize there. Let's move it over here. And then we also have this center point of the light. Let's go back to schematic view here. And you can see it's hard to, you can see it right there, but you can see here also if we zoom in here, got the spotlight and the target. So now I can grab that here without having to dink around over there. I can translate this wherever I want. Put that in the middle. And we'll use a spotlight. Scale it up. Make somewhat of a shadow here. One of the quick keys for item info is pressing Q and S at the same time together. So if I want to, instead of going up here and going info and selection, you can see these quick keys here. You just hit the Q and S when you have an item, but it only works in single item mode. You can't use multi, or it'll bark at you. It'll say, "Hey, I can't do that." Let's see here. If we do, which one do I want to get into? Oh yeah, the cone angle. I need to make it wider. Spread angle like 15 is fine. Okay. Ta-da. All right. And then another. Okay, so then let's go F4 into matter. And if you just press, if we're just doing Softimage render, you can hit A and R at the same time, and it brings the little window up, and it'll draw you a pretty fast frame. Even though it has to load all the geometry, I've made a high level of geometry there. You can see it's just, as a Softimage got hard shadows, drawn a pretty generic default material. What you can do, though, is instead of having that whole screen go black, let's bring this up here. We can have it draw to a window. A little bit easier to, there we go. So speaking of that, these guys aren't even flat on the ground, are they? Let's see here. If we go schematic, right view, everything's up in the air. Spacebar, grab that guy. V, we'll drag you down to the floor. Spacebar, grab that guy. Pretty slow interaction because it's high-res model for this time. Handles it pretty decent though, I gotta say. F over here, I'll hit F in this window so I can get a picture of what's going on here. Alright. Drag that down on the floor. Alright. And then let's switch to mental ray. So we got preview right here. Setup, it's the E plus R, which you can do. And I'm going to switch this to 960 by 540, like a half HD standard size. Softimage to mental ray. I'll leave the anti-aliasing off for now. Just leave this all alone. Hit OK. Oh, so then what we need to do is, wait, cancel, I forgot one thing. So we're here, setup, this right here, preview in a window. Click that checkbox, hit OK, and now when we're doing this view here, if we hit A and R, instead of having to go dark, it just brings up an extra window to draw the image without having to black out the entire interface to show you what the image has in it. And I find that way more convenient and less distracting than having the way it takes over in the default mode. So I always try to switch to that. Takes it a moment to load the geometry, and then it'll draw you a frame. This is the 400 megahertz O2. Should try to set up this scene in on the Octane. Probably much more zippy, but this monitor is looking better than the monitor that works with the Octane right now. That monitor has a lot of dead pixels. It's an old VGA that fell over, flat screen. It has a lot of dead pixels, so it'd be better to get a desktop recording. Hopefully that, I'll get that card here soon, have better quality than desktop. This will work for now. There it goes. Part 2 of some Softimage basics on SGI.